Well, 2021 is almost over. Can I get an amen? What a year. And this brings us to this time of year when many of us start to think about possibilities and all that might be and become in a new year. It's a fresh beginning. It's a new start, a clean slate, a blank page in your book of life. I have 10 things for you to consider letting go of. Clutter, stuff that clogs you up mentally and physically, to make room for the new. By the way, I'm Jen Swanson, your career coach, helping you to get the job, love your work, love yourself, and advance your career. And now let's get into those 10 things. The first thing is an unrealistic to-do list. Do you have grand plans and a list a mile long, or several lists like I do? Do you set yourself up every January and then proceed to disappoint yourself by some time in maybe February? Yeah, I've been there. What if you could just not? What if you could let go of self-expectations that are pressuring you and that are super grand, and instead take things off your to-do list? Are there things you don't need to be doing? Can you declutter your schedule and open up some spaciousness so that new things can emerge? If the teacup is full to the brim, there's no room for dunking your cookies. The second thing to let go of is, well, it's kind of something to let go of. Okay, this follows number one, and what I want to say is to create an achievement or an accomplishment list. This follows on number one, and a way to begin the new year with gratitude. So let go of setting resolutions. There's the let go, and instead make a list of all that you have achieved so far that you are proud of. What have you done that you can celebrate? This is a far more positive way to start the year, because instead of setting yourself up to fail, you are just creating more space to add to the accomplishments that you already have. It's so much kinder to yourself. The third thing to let go of is actual clutter. Anything that doesn't have a home in your home, or that sits on a surface waiting. Waiting for what? Dana K. White from A Slob Comes Clean channel calls this procrasticlutter. That little set of dice that came out of a Christmas cracker 4 years ago that you shoved in the drawer. The plastic scoop that might be useful for something, but who knows what. The dozens of little packets of soy sauce that seem to multiply while you are sleeping. Let it go. Can you hear that song in your head? Let it go. Let it go. Okay, I'm not going to sing. The fourth thing to let go of are old apps and subscriptions that you don't use but that are taking up space and or costing you money. Do you need really 5 streaming services and Cablevision? Do you use that gym membership? What apps are taking up space on your devices that you never open? What about email subscriptions? I have so many that come daily or weekly, and I just don't have time to read all of them. So it's time to declutter. What can you remove so that that stuff isn't weighing you down, digitally, mentally, or physically? The fifth thing to let go of are old clothes and shoes that you are saying, just in case they fit, or you might use them one day, I'll keep them. This one is really satisfying. I have been working on reducing the number of items that I have, and while I am nowhere near a minimalist as far as that goes, I have been extremely careful about what I bring in to my closet this past year, and I pretty much have a rule that if it comes in, something else has to go. I also buy almost exclusively secondhand, although I do invest in a very few well-made, fairly created pieces, sustainable and ethical, that will last me for years and years and years, some of which are versatile because they either convert into more than one thing, or they are very basic staples that will never go out of style. I've got a link below to the ethical and sustainably made brand and circle that I really like, made in Toronto. So what can you remove physically from your closet or your drawers to make your physical life more spacious? The sixth thing to remove are books that you will never read again. I heard a woman talking about she was talking about her age being 51 at the time and how many books she read in a year typically, how long it took her to read each book approximately, and then she did some math. And she discovered that her capacity to read books until she was 90, for instance, was reduced to something like 468 books left in her lifetime to read if she read a book a month. I think maybe she adjusted the figure up just in case she suddenly had more time to read more than one book a month later on. But even having it limited to 500 books for the rest of her lifetime, this gave her pause and made her realize that she had no time to reread the dozen books she was keeping just in case she wanted to read them again, because let's face it, there are just too many darn good books out there, those written and those yet unwritten. So if you've read it and probably won't read it again, then why not pass it on to someone else who will, so that you make room for however many hundreds of books in your lifetime you've got left to read. The seventh thing is paperwork, including old magazines, old receipts, bills, etc. Paperwork is one of those things that piles up and haunts me. It takes up so much space and so much time, it's unnecessary. Can you create a system for dealing with it when it comes in? Can you shred and recycle? What can be digitized instead of arriving in the first place in paper form? Save the trees. The eighth thing that you can get rid of, let go of before 2022 are things that you have listed to sell that aren't selling. Now, I confess I heard this one on a minimalist channel. Thank you, Gabe Bolt. And I think the idea is brilliant. We have been selling all sorts of things because we have had some deaths in the family this last year, and we had to empty a house full of stuff and figure out what to do with it all. And just this morning, we sold 2 dressers on Facebook Marketplace, so I was excited about that. Some of it, however, just isn't going to sell. Little figurines and teacups and things that people don't seem to want. Lots of stuff has sold. But you know what? It takes up tons of space in our home, and mentally, I find it very stressful. So we have decided to give ourselves a sell-by date, not quite, but give ourselves a date in January by which we will just donate a bunch of it if it doesn't sell, and then move on. So what is it that you are hanging on to, that you have had posted for sale that isn't moving? And what can you just donate so that someone else can enjoy it? The ninth thing to let go of, old grudges, old loops that you keep replaying in your brain, old injustices, old obsessions. There is a line in the movie Love Actually, and spoiler alert if you have not seen it, although it's been out for a long time, so I don't know why you haven't if you haven't. But there is a line where the guy who is in love with his best friend's wife finally tells her about it in a really lovely way and gets it off his chest and then walks away. And he says, and this is the line that has stuck with me, he says, enough now. And I love it because he's obviously made a decision right then and there to put that old loop away and to move on. And you can do that too. What old stuff is eating away at you? What can you just decide to set down before the new year? One thing that is free to add or to take up if you haven't already is a subscription to this channel. So click below and let's get to the 10th thing for you to let go of before 2022. The 10th thing, old stories. Now, some old stories are, of course, important and beautiful, and we want to tell and retell them. But sometimes you have told a story for the 48th time at a family gathering, and everyone starts to roll their eyes or walk away, and maybe it's time to make some new stories. What adventures and experiences can you have this next year so that next year at this time, you have some amazing news stories to tell? Do you need a little motivation? I have got 5 ways that you can motivate yourself. click or tap on the card on the screen and I will see you over there. Oh, and Happy New Year!